My fiancé gave my dog to a shelter. It's me or the Mutt. I replied, I see. Then I sent the shelter proof of her animal cruelty complaint and adopted my dog back. Now she has a court date and is begging me for help. I, 32 male, am an architect. I live in a house I designed, a place where every line has a purpose and every material is chosen for a reason. I try to live my life the same way, with careful planning and intention. I thought my future with my fiancée, Jessica, 30, was my master blueprint. I've never been more wrong. I came home from a site visit 2 days ago to a house that was unnervingly silent. My golden retriever Winston always greets me at the door. He does this goofy full-body wiggle, usually with his favorite worn-out stuffed lobster in his mouth. But that day, there was nothing. No wiggle, no lobster, no Winston. I called his name. An echo. I walked through the house, a cold knot tightening in my gut. His bed from the corner of the living room was gone. His food and water bowls weren't by the back door. The little rack where his leashes hung was empty. Jessica was in the kitchen, scrolling on her phone and sipping a glass of Sauvignon Blanc. She looked up as I entered, her expression placid. Hey, I said, my voice strained. Where's Winston? She took a deliberate, slow sip before answering. I took him to the county shelter. The words didn't compute for a second. I just stared at her, waiting for the punchline. You what? He's just not a good fit for the life we're building, she said, her tone matter-of-fact. With the wedding coming up and then kids, I was being practical. It was time. My brain felt like it was short-circuiting. Winston is 7. I've had him since he was a fluff ball of a puppy. He's seen me through failed exams, my dad's cancer scare, and the stress of starting my own firm. He is a part of my foundation. Practical? The word felt foreign in my mouth. Jessica, you don't just get rid of a family member. We talked about this. I told you he was non-negotiable. I know, she said, finally getting up and walking toward me. She tried to place her hands on my chest, but I instinctively stepped back. But I thought you were just being sentimental. He sheds constantly. He's always underfoot. Today he was whining all morning while I was trying to finalize the floral arrangements, and I just realized it had to be either him or me. I made the executive decision. The ultimatum she created and executed all in one afternoon. I felt a strange, cold calm descend. It was the detached focus I get when a major project goes wrong. The emotion has to be walled off so the problem can be solved. I see, I said. It was all I could manage. Her smile was relieved. Good, I knew you'd understand. This is for the best for us. I didn't reply. I just grabbed my keys, walked out the door, and got in my car. The calm held until I was on the road, then my hands started shaking so badly I had to grip the steering wheel to keep them steady. At the shelter, the smell of disinfectant and the low hum of animal anxiety hit me hard. I explained the situation to a woman at the desk with kind, tired eyes. She typed Winston's description into her system. Her brow furrowed. A golden retriever, yes. Surrendered this morning. The paperwork lists the reason for surrender as aggression. There's a formal complaint attached, filed by a Miss Jessica Becker, stating the dog bit her on the arm, unprovoked. The world went red, then snapped into sharp, terrifying focus. She hadn't just surrendered him. She had lied to put a target on his back. A bite history makes a dog almost unadoptable. It's often a death sentence. Winston, who lets neighborhood kids use him as a pillow, who has never shown an ounce of aggression in his life. The architect in me took over. A flawed design must be demolished. That's a lie, I said, my voice level despite the fury churning inside me. I am the registered owner. My name is on his microchip and all of his vet records. I have security cameras in my home. I can prove that never happened. The woman nodded, her expression grim. I'll need to verify that. If you're on the chip and vet records, you can reclaim him. But this complaint, once it's filed, we have a duty to report it. If you can prove it's false, you should file a police report. That's the only way to officially challenge it. It took an hour of phone calls to my vet to have his records faxed over, of waiting while they scanned his chip and it came back to my name and number. Finally, they brought him out. He looked confused and scared, but the moment he saw me, his tail gave a tentative thump, then another, until his whole body was wiggling. I brought him home. Jessica has been calling and texting, but I haven't answered. The engagement ring is on the kitchen counter. I've already downloaded the video files from this morning. They show Jessica getting annoyed at Winston for nudging her hand for a pet, then luring him into her car with a treat. No bite, no attack, just betrayal. She wanted to be practical. She's about to learn all about cause and effect. Update 1, it's been a while. Things have moved at the speed of bureaucracy, which is to say, molasses in winter. Thanks for the comments on my original post. They were a lifeline when I felt like I was losing my mind. The day after I brought Winston home, I filed a police report for the false complaint Jessica filed. I provided them with the video evidence. The officer was professional but non-committal, saying they would investigate. That was the start of the long, agonizing wait. The confrontation with Jessica was ugly. I had her things packed into boxes within a week. She'd been staying at her parents' place, bombarding me with texts that swung wildly from, "I'm so sorry, I'll do anything," to, "You're a monster for choosing a dog over me." When she came with her father, Charles, to get her stuff, she tried to play the victim. "Thomas, please," she said, tears in her eyes. "Don't do this. It was a mistake. I was stressed." "It wasn't a mistake, Jessica. It was a choice," I said, standing in the doorway while her father loaded boxes into his SUV. "You lied to try and have my dog killed. The only thing I have left to say to you is that you should probably find a good lawyer." That's when the first real countermove came. About a month ago, I received a certified letter from a law firm. It wasn't a clumsy demand for custody. It was smarter and colder. It claimed that Winston was shared property acquired during our engagement, and that she had made significant emotional and financial investments in the animal's well-being. It demanded I either surrender the dog to her or provide financial compensation to the tune of $5,000. My heart sank. It was absurd, but it was official and threatening. I took it to a lawyer my own client had recommended. Her name was Sarah. She wasn't a cinematic character who laughed out loud. She read the letter with a thin, wry smile. "This is an emotionally driven tactic," she said, tapping the page. "It's designed to bully you into a settlement. Her financial investment is legally meaningless unless she has receipts, and claiming a dog you've owned for 7 years is shared property from a 2-year relationship is a stretch. We'll draft a response." The response was a masterpiece of legal prose, citing precedent regarding pet ownership, predating a relationship, and politely requesting documentation for her alleged $5,000 investment. We never got a reply. The real blow came at work. My biggest client, the head of a major commercial development, called me in for a meeting. He looked uncomfortable. "Thomas," he started, "I got a strange call last week. It was from your ex-fiancée. She told me she was deeply concerned about your stability and ability to handle this project." My blood ran cold. This was the sabotage I had feared. "She's lying," I said, my voice tight. "I gathered that," he said, holding up a hand. "But you need to understand my position. I have stakeholders to answer to. The perception of instability on a project this large is a problem, regardless of the truth. I'm not pulling you from the project, but I'm telling you this has put you under a microscope. Keep your head down, meet your deadlines, and don't give me a reason to doubt you." It wasn't, "We've got your back." It was a warning. A single misstep on a multi-million-dollar project, and I could be ruined professionally. The stress has been immense. Every night I come home exhausted, terrified of a phone call or email that could end my career. Winston seems to sense it. He spends most evenings with his head in my lap, a quiet, furry anchor in a storm of my own making. Update 2. The wheels of justice grind slowly, and they grind you down in the process. For months, there was nothing but silence. The police investigation into the false report was ongoing. My lawyer said this was normal. Jessica and I existed in a state of Cold War. Then, about 2 months ago, she escalated things in a way I never predicted. I was on a work trip for 3 days. The day I got back, I walked into my house and knew immediately something was wrong. The air was still. I did a quick walkthrough. Nothing seemed to be missing, but when I got to my office, my stomach dropped to my shoes. My large, incredibly detailed architectural model for the community center, my passion project, the one my client was watching like a hawk, was destroyed. Someone had taken a hammer to it. The delicate structures were smashed, the landscape scarred. It was a ruin. Then I saw a note on my desk, on her floral stationery. I just wanted my grandmother's ring back. You left me no choice. I checked the small box where I'd kept the engagement ring. It was gone. She had used it as an excuse. I went straight to my security system. The footage from the day before showed Jessica's car pulling up. She used a key she must have had copied to let herself in. She went straight to the office. The camera in there caught everything. She spent a minute looking for something before her eyes landed on the model. Her face was a mask of pure rage. She picked up a heavy tape dispenser from my desk and just laid into the model, methodically, viciously. Then she grabbed the ring box and left. My first call was to my lawyer. My second was to the police. This time there was no ambiguity. It was breaking and entering, theft and destruction of property, all on camera. The police response was, again, procedural. They took my statement, collected the video evidence, took photos of the damage, and dusted for prints. They didn't arrest her on the spot. An officer told me, "We have more than enough here. We'll refer this to the DA's office. They'll decide on the charges." Another wait began. But this time, the stakes were higher. I had to go to my client and tell him my project model had been destroyed by my ex-fiancée. It was the most humiliating meeting of my life. I laid out the facts, showed him the police report number. He was silent for a long time. "Get me a new model," he said, his voice cold as steel, "and a report on any potential project delays. This cannot impact the timeline. Understood?" "Understood," I said. The last 6 weeks have been hell. I worked 80-hour weeks, fueled by coffee and rage, to rebuild the model from scratch. My team was amazing, but the pressure was immense. Winston was my only source of sanity. Every time I felt like I was about to break, he'd nudge my hand, reminding me what I was fighting for. 2 weeks ago, the DA finally filed charges. Jessica was arrested at her parents' house. It's all moving forward now, but I'm not celebrating. This whole process has cost me time, money, and peace of mind. There's no clean victory here. Final update, it's over. After a year and a half of legal maneuvering, delays, and rescheduled dates, we finally had the trial last month. It was a consolidated case, filing a false police report, breaking and entering, theft, and misdemeanor destruction of property. My lawyer had prepped me extensively. Just the facts, no emotion, let the evidence speak. And it did. The prosecution played my security footage. First, the video of Winston being gently lured into her car. Then, the video of her breaking into my office and methodically destroying my work. The contrast was stark and damning. The shelter director testified about the danger of a false bite report. A police officer testified about the B&E. I testified about the timeline of events and the professional cost of the destroyed model. Jessica's defense was to paint her as a woman scorned, pushed to the edge by a cold, unfeeling partner. Her lawyer argued emotional distress. Jessica cried on the stand. It didn't work. The evidence was too clear, too calculated. The judge found her guilty on all counts. There was no jail time, which we expected. The sentence was 2 years of probation, a significant fine that covered court costs and the $4,800 assessed value of the destroyed model, 250 hours of community service. The judge specifically barred her from working with animals, and court-mandated psychological counseling, and of course, a criminal record. She voluntarily surrendered her teaching license before the state board could revoke it. I saw her on the courthouse steps afterward. She was standing with her parents, Charles and Nancy, her face pale and blotchy. She saw me and walked over, a desperate, wild look in her eyes. "Are you happy now?" she hissed. "Look at what you've done to me. I have nothing left." A year ago, I might have felt rage. On that day, all I felt was a profound sense of exhaustion and pity. "You did this, Jessica," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Every single step, your choices, your consequences." "I can't pay these fines," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "My parents are helping, but, Thomas, please, for what we once had." "What we had was a lie," I said, turning away. "I have to go walk my dog." And I left. Life is quiet now. The fear that haunted me for over a year is finally gone. The community center project was a success, and my firm's reputation is stronger than ever. The house doesn't feel empty. It feels like mine again. A few weeks ago, I unearthed the original blueprints for the house I'd designed for Jessica and me. I almost threw them away, but then I had a better idea. I laid them out on my drafting table, took out my pens, and started to redesign. I erased the massive walk-in closet in the master suite and replaced it with a custom dog washing station with a heated floor and a ramp. The formal dining room she wanted is now a library with a large bay window and a built-in dog bed. I renamed the plan on the title block. It no longer reads the Miller-Becker residence. It just says home. It's just me and Winston. It's a quiet life, a simple one, but it's built on a solid foundation, and this time I know it will last. Thank you all for being a part of the demolition and the reconstruction. We're good now.